everyone, welcome to Q&A Wednesday where we answer your questions, and today we're going to be answering a question from...
The question is from a lady, I think, named Sienna Minx, I'm assuming, obviously. And she asks, she's asking the question about Havana. So she says, has she encountered other kids who have mentioned her mixed heritage? Has she picked up on her parents being different? And since you can't shield her from the world, how will you prepare her?
Good question.
Very good questions. And I think maybe, again, people have asked that before, and I thought it was a really good question. So
yeah,
we're going to try and elaborate and answer that question for you.
And at the moment, Havana has only been going to nursery for 2 years now, and
2 years.
Yeah. And I think
the kids know? Has she? She's never really mentioned about kids noticing
that
her being different.
No.
And one of the main reasons for that is because the school and the area that we live in is predominantly
it's cosmopolitan.
Yes, there is mixed race people.
Yeah.
There is also a lot of white English families.
Yeah.
There's Indian people. So people have seen mixed people of other races and quite modern, forward-thinking sort of community. It's not predominantly Indian or predominantly black.
Yeah.
So where you might find that the people from not the UK originally have a backward way of thinking. Yeah. So their kids maybe speak to other children in a different way.
Yeah.
In a disrespectful way.
That's it. Yeah, definitely. So I mean, she hasn't really come home from school and said. Someone said anything, and I think at the moment she's only 4, so maybe it's too early to say anything.
Yeah,
but
maybe she just hasn't noticed if her child has.
Yeah, so she probably just hasn't.
She hasn't noticed. Maybe she's too young for that. But she knows she's different. I'm sure. Yeah, she knows her mum and dad are different.
Yeah, but she knows that I'm African and she knows that you're Indian.
Yeah.
So
she notices the language difference, doesn't she?
Yeah, and she knows
grandma and granddad.
That's it, that they speak a different language. But I don't really think that she's connected all the dots just yet.
Yes, it doesn't. I don't think she thinks that's weird or different or I'm going to be different from everyone else. I don't think she thinks that. She probably just thinks, oh wow, cool. That's it.
Yeah.
Dad's Indian, mum's African. Okay. That's probably
asked.
the reaction. Yeah, there's no question asked.
Yeah.
No, why? But obviously she'll never be shielded from that because she'll always find out, and even if we didn't tell her, or how you met videos are on there, so she'll realise about how we got together and how hard it was and the differences that were there. Yeah. Because we speak quite openly on our YouTube channel, so she's always going to have that as a reference point.
Yeah. And for me, I think it was very important for me to have our kids grow up in an area where mixed race couples were accepted and that the kids were not going to be feeling like alienated to everybody else. So I just didn't want to live in a predominantly Indian area because most of the problems are there because they're a tight-knit community and other people being different. It's
abnormal to mix as much. Yeah.
Exactly.
Especially in the UK, Indian community in the UK, obviously we're talking about.
Close.
So that was one of the main reasons why we ended up buying in Windsor, which is again a bit more mixed, more English white community, and they know people of other races and cultures live in the country, and everyone just kind of gets on.
Yeah,
that's it.
It's quiet.
There's no politics. There's no politics.
I've never experienced any racism or anyone even looking at me in a weird way. Nothing at all. So that was very important for me.
I mean,
because
that is one part of preparing the kids. But as I said, as we get older, we will definitely explain to them about
differences,
races, how we are different. Because I'm sure they're going to ask us. Because then they're not going to be children, are they? Their whole life, they're going to find out. They might have a comment that they want to find out why it was said. And ask for an explanation. So we will explain that to them, and we won't hide anything from them. We'll let them know about the Indian culture, the Black African culture. So
the problems within the cultures
and the issues.
And just for us, really, the main important thing for us is to strengthen the kids that they can deal with any sort of like bullying, any conflict, that they're strong within themselves, because obviously, like we said, we can't shield them from the world. People out there can say whatever they want, but at the end of the day, I always say to Havana, like, what anybody else thinks about you is none of your business. That is their problem. Don't take on any projection of someone else's thoughts onto yourself. you need to feel good about yourself, and you need to know that you're important, you're special, and you're a good person. That's all that matters. Yeah. What anybody else thinks, don't even take it on board.
And Havana's very good because she'll even say, she'll go, I love mummy, I love daddy, and I love Phoenix, and I love myself. She'll do that. And we go, that's really good, Javi. Yeah, you should love yourself. So we would encourage it. I think it's quite funny when she says it. Yeah. But I say to her, wow, you're right, you should love yourself first and foremost. Yeah, that's it. Definitely. I mean, one thing that if we were to be living in a predominantly Indian area, I know that it would be quite challenging because when we've attended certain events, whether it be at the Gurdwara, the Indian temple, or when we've gone to certain functions which were predominantly Indian, or even when I'm just visiting my mum and dad, then we do notice that people will stare and maybe stare for longer than what they should stare for. Yeah. And eventually the kids will notice this, and then I would make them aware of the reasons behind it. Of course, there's no point lying. I mean, you want them to be prepared so they can defend themselves, right? Also, we've noticed that if we go to like the Sikh temple or any event, people smile awkwardly. Yeah, the Indian people will smile awkwardly because they probably a lot of stuff is probably going through their head. Wow, this guy's with a black girl and they're married. Are they married? Do they have kids? They're probably looking for my ring. Do you know, like loads of stuff like that. Lots of questions must be going through their head because of the stigma of it. Yeah, that unfortunately, which is unacceptable, but because the way Indian people will think. So obviously my kids, as they get older, are going to look mixed race, so they're going to obviously question why are they looking, why does someone look at me funny, or do I look more African or more Indian or mixed?
What's going on?
Why is it a problem for people? Yeah, so we will address those and we'll let the kids know before, so they're not in shock, and we will explain to them that they could be upset about it, but don't let it get to you. Yeah, and I'm sure we'll know how to deal with it as we go along. But when I did get married to Primrose, that was one of the fears that I had initially, was, alright, I love this girl, I'm going to marry her. But then later it was like, okay, so how are our kids going to look? And are they going to suffer bullying? Yeah. And I can't live in the area which is predominantly Indian, where my family live. So I've got to live somewhere that's neutral. Yeah, where it's neutral, mixed. Because I don't want them to have to deal with this sort of discrimination, because it's not fair, and they're young and you want to hone their confidence. You don't want to kill their confidence. That's it. Or think that I'm different and people don't like me. I don't want that. So these are things that did go through my head, and I did think, oh, what are people going to think if I'm walking down the road with my kids and all that. But obviously, as you can see, my kids are absolutely beautiful and I don't give a damn now. So I'm over that, like with those self-conscious things. And I love walking. I walk down the road with my kids all the time where my parents live, and it's not an issue for me. No. And I don't even think about anyone's reactions or looks. So it's not something that even comes into my mind. But initially, before we had kids, just like this question was asked by the Sienna, it was something that went through my head. Yeah, definitely. That what about the discrimination, or how are my kids going to deal with this?
And it's something that we talked about, isn't it? Like, look, wherever we buy our house, we need to make sure that we definitely think about all these issues, because for us, we could deal with it and brush it aside, like, it doesn't matter. Oh, but we got a nice home and we're happy. Yeah. The kids are alright. It's cheaper, yeah. But you're not looking at what your priority is, and that's your kids. Exactly. Yeah. So it was definitely like, even if it costs a little bit more money to live somewhere where it's a bit more neutral, we definitely would sacrifice the money to make sure that the kids' mental well-being is not affected by small-minded people. So it was definitely really important for us, isn't it? So definitely. But that is something that went through my head. Yeah. But as I said, you get over it, and it doesn't even come into my head. Doesn't even enter it now. Yeah. Like from before having kids. And that's it. And hopefully, as I said, we will let the kids know openly. We won't hide anything from them. No, exactly. Because we're straightforward people. Yeah, and especially because we want them to be able to come and approach us if they're getting bullied at school, or if anything is being said at school. We want them to know what to expect, that what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, so that they can approach us and tell us what's happening, so we can address those issues. And not only can they deal with it, we as parents can judge, because it might not be on race, it could be anything. But as we're talking about mixed race, I want to be able to change that situation. So if it means I have to live somewhere else or change the situation, I will, because my kids need to
thrive. For me, that is it, be all and end all.
Yeah.
But that's all that will matters to me.
Exactly. Same here. Yeah. Definitely. So so that's really.
So that's really it. That covers it. What are all your questions on it? Yeah. So yeah.
So it's definitely was one to think about. Yeah. And we will definitely educate the kids. We'll take them to India. We'll take them to Africa. We'll take them so they
show them their background and heritage.
This is where mommy was born, and this is the house that
mommy grew up. Because I think part of it is being educated about both your cultures. Because you can say, wait a minute, I know my culture. I know both my cultures.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. So I know who I am.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Exactly.
So I think that's important, rather than I don't really know my dad's culture. I don't really know my mum's culture. So I'm just a confused soul.
Yeah.
I don't want to be. I don't think anyone should be like that.
That's it. Yeah. So definitely we'll educate the kids as much as we can. So we've answered your questions, Sienna. If you've got any other questions, definitely leave them in the comment section and give this video a thumbs up and share it to your friends and family. And we're gonna see you in our next video. And that's it, guys. Take care. Bye.